Hi everyone, my name is Mariel from Body Contour Studio and welcome back to my channel. So these channels are all going to be about any of the beauty treatments that we can get for ourselves and also different types of skincare. I'd love it if you can like and subscribe because I'll be posting videos twice a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. So for today's video, it's going to be discussing fat cavitation versus fat freezing. Which one should you get? So people always get confused between both and to see they don't really know which one is a lot better. So in terms of fat freezing uses cooling technology which permanently reduces fat cells. It turns these fat cells into liquid and passes through the body naturally, so you just eliminate it through your natural body. So you'll lose around 10 to 20% of the treated area. In terms of fat cavitation uses ultrasonic energy, and essentially what it does is that it melts away the fat cells. It turns these fat cells into liquid and also passes through the body naturally. However, I won't say it's a permanent reduction of fat cells because it's more of a trimming. So it doesn't actually get rid of fat cells completely, not like fat freezing because you're freezing these fat cells. So that's the one thing you should take note of. The differences between the treatments. So they're both around 30 to 40-minute treatment, just depending on the areas that you get. The similarities of them as well is that it does reduce fat. So I would say fat cavitation is more, as I said, trimming. So it's great for areas like cellulite and great for smaller areas because it is a circle type of machinery and it goes on the skin and it just goes in circles. So it's easier to do it on hard to reach areas, for example like armpit fat. If someone has really smaller arms, that the fat freezing handle can't go on top. Unlike fat cavitation, fat freezing is used by an applicator. So it's a big applicator, it goes on top of the area you want to get, for example on top of your abdomen, and it sucks up the fat in those chambers and it stays on for 45 minutes. So they are different in terms of how they're both used. Fat cavitation is normally used with RF skin tightening, which is a great thing because as you get rid of the fat, it does tighten the skin. However, there are fat freezing machines like what I use that does have skin tightening embedded in it. So the cold will be for tightening the skin, and you have the actual heat, the cold that kills the fat cells, and then you have the heat which tightens and lifts the skin. So you do have both combinations. So honestly, what it comes down to is what your budget is and also how many treatments you'd generally want to get because it will depend on where it is. So I would say fat freezing is a bit more on the pricier side, but I would say it's great for bigger areas. So if you want to get rid of, let's say, your bra fat, your abdomen, like upper arm fat, like thighs, so I'd say fat freezing is great because it is a bulk area. You can just press the applicator and the applicator does suck all the fat in and kills them essentially. While you have fat cavitation, where it's more strenuous, I would honestly say, because I do both in my clinic, I'd noticed that with fat cav, you need minimum 10 sessions to see great results. So as you probably, some of you may know, you need at least like 8 to 10 sessions to see a big result of fat cavitation, while honestly, you only need one fat freezing application to have great results. So what I normally suggest is that when my customers come to me, I honestly would always tell them to do fat freezing instead of fat cavitation. The only time I'd only suggest fat cavitation is one, if the actual applicator, the fat freezing applicator, is not suitable for that person. So for example, if the person has such a skinny area, like I'd say if they have issues with, let's say, their forearm, right? You can't put an applicator on the forearm, but you can fat cap the forearm. So it's just those things where those hard to reach areas, then I'll definitely do fat cavitation. But you need to be prepared to, come back a few times for fat cavitation because as I said, you need at least 8 to 10 sessions to see great results. So at the end of the day, I'd honestly say fat freezing is honestly better because it does permanently kill those fat cells and you don't need as many sessions as you do for fat cavitation. So if you look at the prices, I would say that they're the same thing because you need 8 of the fat cavitations as per one fat freezing. So it's the same thing. I would say, suitable candidates, it's quite similar for both. So, anyone with pinchable fat, like grabbable fat, anyone who wants to, sculpt their bodies and to tone down, I'd say both is as great as each other. So you don't really have an issue with that. So I hope this helps. And also, the thing is, right, you can do both. So it's great to do both because it is scientifically proven that if you do fat freezing and then combine it with fat cavitation on top of that, it actually speeds up the process of the actual fat cell removal, which gives you greater results. So I honestly do both in my clinic. So in packages, I'll normally do fat freezing, and then afterwards they do have a body, I call them body contour, like a fat cavitation session on top, which then helps break down those frozen fat cells and also speeds up the process of fat freezing. So they do have great places in both. They do have like a place for both of them, but I normally just refer them to fat freezing. All right, thank you so much. Bye.